$11.3 billion for a single warship, but photos show it covered in rust before ever leaving the dock. So, is America's newest supercarrier already a failure? This is the USS John F. Kennedy, a ship designed to be the most powerful in history. 100,000 tons of steel and advanced technology, 2 nuclear reactors with enough power for a small city. But its construction took over a decade, and now rivals like China and Russia are moving faster. The big question is, why the delay? Is this rust just a surface-level problem, or is it a sign of deeper technical failures? You see, this ship isn't just another aircraft carrier. It represents a huge gamble by the US Navy, a bet on revolutionary new technology. But what if that technology doesn't work as planned? In this video, we will break down everything. From the real reason the Nimitz-class carriers needed replacement, to the major problems with the first Ford-class ship, to the secret upgrades that make the Kennedy different, and finally, we will answer the most important question. Is this $11 billion bet a masterstroke or a massive mistake? Stay with me till the end to find out. In 2024, photos of the USS John F. Kennedy appeared online. These images revealed reddish-brown streaks of rust on the hull. Immediately, critics called it a sign of a massive failure, because this warship carries a staggering price tag of $11.3 billion. But the visual problem is only part of a much bigger story. The Navy signed the contract for this carrier way back in 2011. Construction didn't officially begin until the keel was laid in 2015. Then, in 2019, a christening ceremony took place. Yet work was far from over. Now, in 2024, the vessel is still at the pier, not commissioned for service. That is more than 13 years from a simple agreement to a potential delivery. So let's talk about the most visible issue, the rust. Experts confirm this is just surface oxidation, which is completely normal. This means the rust is a distraction from the actual cause of the delay. What is the Navy not telling the public about this advanced warship? To find that answer, we must look at why this new class of carrier was even necessary. And that story starts with a serious problem in the old Nimitz-class design. For half a century, the Nimitz-class carriers ruled the oceans. These 10 ships represented unmatched American naval power. But by the 2000s, the Navy faced a new danger: obsolescence. These carriers were built on 1960s ideas, and time was closing in. Not because they were simply aging, but because the world had changed. The first major limit was power. Nimitz reactors produced enough for propulsion, but not for future weapons. Lasers, railguns, and advanced radars demanded megawatts the ships couldn't provide. The electrical margin was almost gone. The second crisis was manpower. Each carrier needed over 5,000 sailors, creating massive lifetime costs. Recruiting was harder, and retaining skilled workers was worsening. The third issue was steam catapults. They stressed newer airframes, required constant maintenance, and couldn't launch light drones. The fourth bottleneck was weapons elevators. Old cable-driven systems moved ammunition too slowly, limiting combat sortie rates to around 120 per day. The math was brutal. Nimitz replacements were needed by the 2020s. Building 10 similar ships would cost over $100 billion and still suffer the same flaws. The Navy had two choices: build more Nimitz-class carriers or gamble on a revolutionary leap. They chose the gamble. The Ford class was designed for survival, not prestige. But the gamble came with a price. The first ship became a technical nightmare. The USS Gerald R. Ford was meant to redefine American naval power. As the first Ford-class carrier, expectations were sky high. The Navy signed the contract in 2008, and the ship was commissioned in 2017. But almost immediately, the problems began stacking up. Ford was promoted as a revolutionary leap. Instead, it became a $13.3 billion crisis. The first disaster was EMALS, the new electromagnetic catapult. It was supposed to outperform old steam systems, yet testing showed the opposite. The Navy required 4,166 launches between failures. Ford averaged about 400, barely 10% of the standard. The second failure was the AAG arresting gear. This landing system also fell short of reliability goals. The third nightmare involved the 11 weapons elevators. All were required to be ready at commissioning. Instead, most were non-functional for years, with several fixed only by 2021. A basic combat task, moving ammunition became a structural delay. Meanwhile, costs exploded. A program estimated at $10.5 billion surged to $13.3 billion, a 27% jump. Congress was furious, calling for it a $13 billion boondoggle, and some pushed to cancel the entire class. Yet the Navy had already committed to building the next carrier, John F. Kennedy. So the critical question emerged: could Kennedy avoid Ford's failures, or repeat them? Deep inside the Kennedy's hull, hidden from cameras and critics, there lie two A-1B nuclear reactors. These reactors transform the carrier's capabilities, giving it far more than propulsion alone. They provide the electrical strength needed for modern and future systems. Older Nimitz-class reactors produced around 60 to 80 megawatts of power, but the A-1B units generate roughly 250 megawatts, 3 times as much. This margin allows Kennedy to operate EMALS, AAG, high-speed weapons elevators, and the Advanced Enterprise Air Surveillance Radar all at once. The surplus power also prepares the ship for coming technologies. Future lasers could intercept missiles, railguns might fire hypervelocity rounds, and drone networks may control massive unmanned swarms. Next-generation jamming suites could dominate electronic warfare. This design philosophy ensures the carrier stays relevant for decades. With reactors built for 50-year endurance without refueling, Kennedy can serve into the 2070s while supporting weapons still in development. This immense energy output isn't just for today's demands. It creates capacity for innovations the Navy has yet to imagine for future missions. They're generating energy for systems that don't even exist yet. And the first place this incredible power gets applied is to a system that seems to defy the laws of physics. For 60 years, aircraft carriers relied on one launch method: high-pressure steam pushing a heavy piston forward. The blast sent jets from 0 to 165 miles per hour in 2 seconds. But the process was violent. It damaged airframes, stressed components, and limited future aircraft options. Light drones cracked under the force, while heavy fighters sometimes received uneven power. Maintenance was endless. Steam seals, valves, and pipes constantly failed. Worse, steam offered almost no flexibility. Its launch force couldn't be finely adjusted for different aircraft weights, creating safety risks on every deck cycle. EMALS, Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, was built to end all those problems. Using linear induction motors, EMALS accelerates aircraft with controlled electromagnetic energy. Power can be tuned precisely for each launch, making it versatile for everything from 10,000-pound drones to 60,000-pound fighters. It offers smoother acceleration, reducing airframe stress by roughly 30%. It also boosts sortie generation by about 25%. Fewer moving parts mean far less maintenance and higher long-term reliability. But there is one enormous risk. This technology has never been used at full carrier scale. On the Ford, EMALS suffered major failures. Now the Kennedy must prove the system can finally deliver. If EMALS fails again, the entire Ford class could be in danger. Launching aircraft is only half the mission. Catching them safely is the next challenge. When a 40-ton fighter jet lands on a carrier at 150 miles per hour, it needs to stop completely within just 300 feet, or it will crash directly into the ocean. For decades, carriers used hydraulic cables to catch landing planes. 4 deck cables grabbed a jet's tailhook and forced a brutal stop, but the old system had major limits. Cables wore out quickly under repeated impacts, creating endless maintenance. Hydraulics struggled with different aircraft weights, harming light planes and risking overruns for heavy jets. The system lacked flexibility and could not support future drones. AAG, Advanced Arresting Gear, fixes these problems. It replaces hydraulics with electromagnetic absorbers using linear motors. Sensors read aircraft weight instantly, allowing smoother deceleration that protects airframes and pilots. AAG supports everything from drones to heavy fighters and needs far less maintenance. Paired with EMALS, Kennedy can launch and recover over 160 sorties daily and up to 270 in combat, a major improvement over Nimitz carriers. This upgrade greatly increases operational flexibility and readiness. It's specifically designed for aircraft that haven't been invented yet. Even the fastest flight deck would be useless if you can't rearm the jets quickly enough. And that's where the Kennedy hides another revolutionary secret: Deep below the flight deck lie the Kennedy's magazines. Inside these secure areas, thousands of missiles and bombs wait for deployment. During actual combat, every single second becomes critically important. Because in a real war, the side that rearms faster ultimately wins. The older Nimitz-class carriers relied on slow, cable-driven elevators that often jammed and delayed operations. These hydraulic systems moved ordnance painfully slowly and created dangerous bottlenecks. Breakdowns were common, and repairing worn components consumed valuable time. The Kennedy solves these issues with 11 advanced weapons elevators powered by electromagnetic drives. Each elevator lifts heavy ordnance rapidly, cutting ramming time nearly in half while improving reliability. Lessons from the troubled Ford installation led to better manufacturing, tougher testing, and smoother integration. As a result, Kennedy's elevators are expected to be fully operational upon delivery, directly boosting sortie generation and sustaining continuous air operations. This upgrade greatly strengthens the ship's overall combat endurance significantly. They represent a critical advantage in winning the next war. But there's one more system that most people don't know about. This is a system the Navy barely discusses in public, and it changes everything about modern naval warfare. A carrier isn't just a platform for launching aircraft. It functions as a critical sensor node. The Kennedy serves as the eyes of the entire strike group, and these eyes can see farther than any warship in history. The Enterprise Air Surveillance Radar represents a major step forward, using dual-band technology to deliver both long-range detection and precise tracking. Its S-band scans the horizon for distant threats, while the X-band focuses on fine detail, creating seamless 360-degree awareness. The system can follow hundreds of targets at once, including aircraft, missiles, and surface vessels, and excels at spotting low-flying threats. EASR links smoothly with sensors from other ships, submarines, and aircraft, forming a resilient network that shares data instantly. Information from F-35Cs, E-2D Hawkeyes, and Aegis destroyers merges into one unified tactical picture. This integrated awareness strengthens defense, speeds decisions, and prepares the ship for emerging future threats. The Kennedy doesn't just launch jets into the sky. The carrier commands the entire battle space with superior awareness. But all this advanced technology raises one important question. Can the Kennedy actually fight when it truly matters? The Kennedy boasts revolutionary catapults that launch jets with incredible precision. The carrier features advanced arresting gear that catches aircraft with remarkable efficiency. The ship contains electromagnetic elevators that move weapons at unprecedented speeds. The vessel is equipped with next-generation radar that sees threats from great distances. Yet critics question whether this untested power can survive real combat. Ford's early failures fuel those doubts. Emails breakdowns, delayed elevators, and systems that fell short of promised performance. Complexity increases risk, and older Nimitz carriers proved reliable under fire, while the Ford class remains unproven. Cost heightens the stakes. Losing an $11.3 billion ship would be devastating. Supporters argue Kennedy benefits from improved manufacturing, tougher testing, and more realistic expectations. A smaller crew lowers lifetime expenses, while higher sortie rates expand combat power. Its reactors provide immense electrical margin for future weapons and modular upgrades designed to outlast evolving threats far into the coming decades ahead. The Navy is betting $11.3 billion on the answer being yes. But the real reason Kennedy matters so much to American security isn't just about the impressive technology. It's about who else is building carriers around the world. While Kennedy waited at the dock, China kept building new carriers. In that same period, China produced 3 major ships, and the balance of power at sea began to shift. China moved fast. In 2012, it activated its first carrier, the Liaoning. By 2019, it launched the Shandong, its first home-built carrier. In 2022, the Fujian arrived with modern launch technology similar to Kennedy's. And by 2025, China began constructing a 4th carrier. This change matters for America. Think about a conflict near Taiwan. If China attacks, American carriers are critical. China's carriers would try to block US forces, and numbers would decide control. The South China Sea adds even more tension. China claims the water as its own, while American ships sail there to protect free navigation. Chinese carriers directly challenge U.S. presence in this region, and the numbers look worrying. America has 11 carriers, but they are spread across the globe. In a Pacific fight, only 2 or 3 might be available. China could send all of its carriers at once. Kennedy helps close this gap. It doesn't just replace old ships, it strengthens American power in the Pacific. Without Kennedy, the U.S. risks falling behind China. Kennedy's real challenge isn't technology, it's the race against time. And after 13 long years of construction, Kennedy must finally prove its worth. Now the question remains, will it work when real missiles fly? Or was this billion-dollar bet a mistake? You just learned why the USS Kennedy took 13 years to build and whether this massive carrier was worth the wait. For more military stories and global strategy breakdowns, subscribe and hit the bell. Now tell us in the comments, is Kennedy worth the cost, or should the Navy have kept building older carriers instead today?